Before we start this video, I just want you to know that this is an extended slime farm tutorial video with theory and rate tests and all sorts of stuff like that. If you just want a quick how to build a slime farm tutorial, then click the link in the description below or in the iCard above. Hello and welcome to a brand new Minecraft Bedrock Edition tutorial by me, FoxyNoTail, here on a creative download of the Truly Bedrock realm. And you might notice behind me there are many slimes being killed by magma blocks as they're trying to basically chase snow golems. So this slime farm tutorial's pretty simple, really. It does involve a reasonable amount of digging and it involves using your brain a little bit, but the actual farm itself is so simple. In terms of resources, the farm's very light. It requires a little bit of snow and some pumpkins. It requires some magma blocks, and if we look underneath, it requires a little bit of rail and a few hoppers. And if you notice this particular farm that Slack Lizard and I have, it's full of droppers as well, which is just cobblestone and redstone. They're not dispensers or anything fancy like that, just droppers. And the idea with this farm is basically, rather than having one slime chunk like you might have seen before with snow golems at either end, we're actually using 7 different slime chunks here. We've got an AFK spot at the top, which is in the very center of them, and slime never stops coming through this thing. You can see slime coming up the elevator there. It is continuous. Slimes keep spawning. They try and get to the snowmen. They die. The rails pick up the stuff. It's absolutely brilliant. There we go. We just saw that big slime spawn in there. He's going to go to that snowman. He's going to get got. And he is going to drop his stuff. So there we go. This is an amazing design. Let's work out how we build it. So in order to make this tutorial work, we're going to come to a website called Chunkbase, and in this, if you click on apps and then you go to slime chunk, it gives you a slime chunk finder. If we look at the bottom here, it would default to Java Edition. We're going to put it on Minecraft Bedrock Edition, and it shouldn't matter what seed you put in. All the seeds on Bedrock Edition have exactly the same slime chunks, apparently, at least anyway. Basically, the slime chunks are the green ones in here, and if you zoom out, there's loads and loads. And what we want to look for is slime chunks near each other. We're not bothered about them being next to each other like that, although that's a bonus. We want them in an area around where we can AFK and load as many as possible. So basically, wherever your base is in your world, find out where that is, and then decide where the slime chunks are around it. So we've got a nice area here. If we AFK'd in the center there, we'd probably get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 and 9 slime chunks all loaded at the same time there. So we could use this area here. Now, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to actually load up a brand new super flat world in creative mode so that we can do this. So the area we want to go to is somewhere around here. If we say that this chunk is the one we're going to have as our center, then our coordinates are going to be 150 by minus 170. Okay, so I've used commands to create a massive slabbed out area so nothing can spawn on there. I have turned spawning off as well for now, just so we can work on this. The next thing I'm going to do is turn on a cheaty resource pack that allows me to see chunk borders to save me having to do it manually. Now, this resource pack is called Chunk Bounds. I downloaded it off the internet. I can't give you the link because I don't really trust the source, and if you want to find it, just Google it. I don't know if it works on console or Xbox or Android or any of that. I'm using Windows 10 Edition. It works fine. If you can't use this to find your chunk boundaries, then you're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, which is basically either using maths to calculate it or using redstone. And I do have a tutorial on my channel which shows you how to find chunks in the survival version of Minecraft without any cheats or commands or coordinates. So going back to our map, the first slime chunk is the one we're in, and the next slime chunk is this one here, which is 130 something by minus 100, which is 130 something, which is about 135 by minus 185. So that'll be easy to find. Okay, I've now converted all of those slabs into slabs of a different type to mark those out. Let's just check that pattern actually lines up with those from Chunkbase, which it does seem to, which is good. Now, we might even be able to get those two down there, so I am going to mark those out, but I don't know if it's going to reach that far, but we'll see. Now, I do realise that when you're doing this in survival, you're not going to be laying slabs in creative mode on a super flat world. You are going to have to go underground. You're going to have to go down to the bottom of the world, and you're going to have to dig out each one of these chunks at least a few blocks up in order to build this thing. But we're going to use a super flat world just for convenience for this tutorial. Let's just hop back to the Truly Bedrock realm just so you can see what Slack and I have done to make this work. So as you can see, Slack and I have actually dug out from bedrock all the way up to this level up here for all of the chunks where slimes will spawn, and we've slabbed the floor in all the areas elsewhere just to make sure slimes don't spawn anywhere else. Now, you don't need to go up as high as we've gone, because you could AFK from the floor down here, but it is quite useful going higher up because you're reducing the chances of slime spawning elsewhere. The other thing you need to be careful of is that when you get caves above your slime chunks, you can, as you can see from these slime balls here, you can get slime spawning in these caves even on full light level, which means you really need to slab these things out. The other thing we've done is we've gone round cave lighting all of the caves around our perimeter. Okay, so the next thing to do is to find the very center of each one of our chunks. I'm going to start with this chunk, and basically these are the 4 blocks in the center. Now I only need to pick one of those for the snowman to stand on, and I'm going to pick this one, and the reason I'm picking that one is because I want the block furthest away from this chunk. Because these 2 chunks are touching each other, there will be some slimes that spawn sort of around here and get confused which way to go. So the further away the snowmen are from each other, the better really for this. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 blocks up, and then another one there like that, and then on top of that I'm going to put 2 glass blocks. Now these are just temporary for now. We're going to get rid of those in a minute, and around the top of those I'm going to put basically 4 slabs like that. Then I'm going to get some glass panes. I'm going to run those around the bottom of the bottom piece of glass like so, and this is basically a barrier to stop our snowmen shooting the slimes and pushing them back. Then I'm just going to grab a couple of pieces of snow like that and a pumpkin like that, and there we go, our snow golem is in place. Then on this block down here we can put basically a 3x3 bunch of magma blocks. We can get rid of those there, we can get rid of those, and then we'll just put a piece of glowstone next to each one of those just to make it nice and bright to stop other mobs spawning. Then underneath we can grab some glass, and it needs to be a non-spawnable block. We'll bring it down 1 from that, and we basically need to do a 5x5 area of glass, and this is what the hopper minecarts are going to be running on, and they need to come out 1 block further than the magma block so they pick up everything that dies on the magma block. So something could die right on the edge of the magma block there, and it will drop the slime blocks onto that block, so the hopper minecart needs to pick it up from all of those. Then I'm going to put a redstone block there, and I'm going to put another one there like that. I'm going to get some powered rails, put one there like that and one there like that, and then we're going to grab a hopper and a chest. The chest is going to go at the end there, that's just a temporary one for now, and the hopper is going to go pointing into that chest like that. We can add more hoppers in just in case the hopper minecart doesn't transfer the items quick enough. We can do it like that. And now what I'm going to do is basically just run these rails around so that they touch every single block except for the one directly underneath the snowman. We don't need to pick up from there, and the way I do that is basically do a line around the edge like that, and then come up this side, go all the way in like that, go across here, come back down, go onto that hopper there and round. So the only block we haven't gone on is the one directly under the snowman, which is fine, and we can block that up just if we want to. We don't have to, you can leave it open, and that's pretty much it. Now all we need is the platform, so I'm going to basically just slab out a chunk area for the platform. Okay, once we get to the very edge of our chunks like that, you'll see that our texture pack gives us that red border there. I actually want to come out 1 more block on each platform, just because sometimes the slime will spawn right on the edge and it will actually glitch through the glass and end up on the floor below, in which case it's not going to get killed and it's going to take up mob cap and it's going to reduce the rates from our farm. So we're going to make that bigger like that, then we're going to grab some glass and we're going to go around the outside 3 blocks up all the way round. And the reason we're using glass is just so we can see through it to see the farm in action. You don't need to use glass, you can use stone, or if you've dug this out of the underground, just don't dig out any further than that. Just dig out a 17 by 17 area for each chunk, and then you don't need to add walls because you'll already have them. Okay, there we go, that's pretty much it. The only thing I need to do now is put another 4 slabs on there to stop those being spawnable, put another one in the middle to protect the snowman, and underneath what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chuck a few more basically glowstone blocks. Now these don't have to be glowstone blocks, they can be any light sources. Because we've made the platform out of slabs, they will shine through. This is Bedrock Edition, so slabs don't stop light shining through. And yeah, I'm just going to fill these out and make sure that it's all nice and bright to stop any hostile mobs spawning on the platforms, because if we get skeletons or zombies or anything like that up there, they're basically going to kill our snowman. It's going to break the farm. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, what I do want to do is talk very briefly about mob spawning. If you don't know about mob spawning, on Bedrock Edition, there's 2 ways mobs can spawn, or there's 2 what are called caps, mob caps. You've got what's called a surface cap, and that will give you surface spawns, and that's basically anything that's open to the air or with a transparent block above it. So me being stood under here, I am if I was a hostile mob or a slime or something like that, I would be considered a surface spawn. But if that was a solid block, something like this smooth stone here, if I was to spawn here now when I was a monster, I would be classed as a cave spawn. Now, cave spawns have a cap of 8 mobs at once, and surface spawns have a cap of 8 mobs at once. So the ideal slime farms have levels like this which are underground, and then a top level which is open to the surface, which allows you to get both types. So you can absolutely do that with this. You could build this up a few layers up so that you could get the most out of each chunk, or we could just do the whole thing underground and not have to worry about the surface mob cap, because we're going to have so many chunks active and it will be fast. So let's just go on to cloning this and making as many of these as we can. I just want to take a second in the video now just to say that if you're not already subscribed to my channel and you're enjoying this sort of content, then please do come along. My channel is youtube.com/FoxyNoTail. Hit the subscribe, hit the bell for more notifications, and also check out my other tutorials. I have done tutorials on all sorts of things, including iron farms, concrete farms, how to make smooth stone. We've done witch farms, guardian farms, you name it. I've pretty much done it. So yeah, make sure you come along, and don't forget to drop a like on this video too. Okay, so I've cloned most of them. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 all together here. Now, I don't know if these are all going to be active. You can see we are getting slime spawning in places, and they will be dying and going into the minecart hoppers. And this particular one here doesn't have any glass round. That was because when I was cloning this in creative, it basically wouldn't let me overlap that one. But it brings me to a good point here, and that is that, as we mentioned earlier, if a slime spawns in this corner here, it will get confused as to which snow golem to go to. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open this up a little bit between both of them and allow the slimes to go in either direction. So I'm basically just going to bring that out like that and bring the glass wall around it. Now the gap there wants to be wide enough for a big slime to get through. I think that probably is wide enough there, so let's do the glass on this. And that should just about do that. I think that will be okay. The other things we've got here are things like this. When I cloned these to copy them, we got this wall in between. We don't want this wall. We might as well just let the slimes go through from one to the other, so that they're not... If they see that snowman and not that one, they're going to be bouncing against this wall and getting stuck. So we don't want walls in between. We want the platforms to be nice and open so they can choose to go whichever direction they want and not hang up. And there we go, that's pretty much it. That is the slime farm pretty much done. The next thing we need to do is work out where we're going to AFK here. The problem is now that if we are within 23 blocks of any of these snowmen or any of these platforms, slimes aren't going to spawn. And if we're further away than 53 blocks, then slimes aren't going to spawn. Each chunk is 16 blocks, which means we've got just over 3 chunks between where things will spawn and where they won't. So this one's quite far away. We can get things to spawn probably till about this chunk here. But spawning spherical, so if I go up in the air, that's going to actually increase the distance. So it's hard to know where the best place to go is. I'm thinking maybe somewhere like this, but high enough above these ones for things to spawn. But really it is trial and error to figure it out unless you're very, very good at maths. Okay, so doing very crude maths and working things out with lines. Basically what I've done there is I've said that if I'm on this particular block there, that glass block, then the orange lines are points that slimes won't spawn within, and the purple ones are points that slimes will spawn within, but it's a sphere around the player, it's a ball, so that will actually curve around to that bit. It doesn't go out as a cylinder, it doesn't go all the way up and all the way down like it used to. It curves around a ball around the player. Now there's no rules to this, there's no you must stand here or you must do that. It really is what you find best for your situation and what slime chunks that you've chosen. I'm sure somebody in the comments will think of a way to actually make it an easy way to actually determine where to do your AFKing. You don't have to be up in the sky either, you can AFK down on the floor level here, that's absolutely fine, but that brings us too close to these ones. Although we'd be able to reach out further away from us, these two would be pretty much pointless. So I'm not sure where the best place to AFK from this is, but you can see it's working. You can see we're getting plenty of slime spawning and attacking the snowmen. But the final thing I'm going to show you is basically how to link it all together. Rather than having individual chests for each thing, how to link it all together to make it nice and easy to gather all of your slime and stuff in the same place. One way you could do this is with clicky droppers like this, which is basically just going to activate all of those droppers. The slime balls will go into there from the hopper minecart. They will travel through and they'll end up in the chest at the end there. That's the system we're using on Truly Bedrock. It's cheap because these are only cobblestone and redstone. It's spawn proof apart from that block there. We need a slab on there, because it's got redstone on top, and those observers nothing can go on top of there because the slab's on top of there. And what we've done with the redstone is we've brought it back one block from the end. If we put the redstone on there, it will interfere with that hopper and lock that hopper, so we don't want it at the end. That dropper there will still fire because that block is powered. So that system works absolutely fine, and what we can do is link all of those up together. The other way you could do it is with water stream. Okay, so this sort of system would be absolutely fine. What we've got is a dropper here. When items are in there's a little observer clock there that's just going to spit those out. You can have them all linking up and go into a central chest location. You could use a comparator clock here so that the dropper was only firing when it actually had items inside. It's not really going to make a great deal of difference. It won't really create any more lag having it always running. The only difference is that it's going to be a little bit noisy, but I'm sure you could put up with that. Me personally, I would rather have a long dropper line linking everything together, just because they're nice and cheap and easy to do, and all I would do is basically just run them in a long line like this, link them all together with lots of redstone. One thing you've got to make sure of is your redstone line doesn't run out, because redstone will only travel 16 blocks, so you will need repeaters occasionally. And also don't link the clocks together because they'll overlap each other. And there we go, we now have the noisiest system in the world, all interconnected. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slime farms all connected to this thing, all coming through into that one poor little chest that's having to cope with it all at once. Okay, so I have turned mob spawning off to stop any slime spawning. I have emptied out the system, and I have created this little device here that basically when I flick that lever, mob spawning will be turned back on, allowing slimes to spawn. The timer will basically start, and after exactly an hour, that timer will stop and mob spawning will turn off again. So basically I can go away, I can do an AFK test, and I can find out how many slimes we're going to get per hour in this particular setup doing this, basically from AFK in above the ground here. So probably around about y equals 30, just about there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down, I'm going to flick that lever on, and I'm going to run it and see what we get. Okay, it has been an hour. Quite a lot went on. We had a lot of slime spawning. We got a couple of wandering traders, which I'll show you how to get rid of in a minute. And I believe everything should have come through. I don't think there was anything clogging up anywhere. It didn't look like there was anyway from that. So let's check what we got. We got nearly a single chest worth of slime balls in 1 hour, which is pretty good. It's not the best, but it's pretty good. I think we can do better than that, though. But before we do that, let's get rid of this wandering trader, and let's get rid of him for good. There is a command in the game. It does involve needing cheats, but we're going to do it anyway. And let's go. Mob event, Minecraft wandering trader event, false. And we can turn it off, and they'll never ever come back again. And we can also do mob event Minecraft pillager patrols, false. And that will stop any pillager patrols from coming around and doing things like that. So that's good. Now we can get rid of that smelly guy and he won't ever come back again, which is amazing. Okay, so we got nearly a single chest worth of slime balls in 1 hour. Let's see if we can do better than that. We'll do another test and then we'll make some adjustments to this farm and see if we can get it even better. Right then, I'm just about ready for the second test. This time what I've done is I've actually changed the clock system so that we just have this one observer clock actually powering every single one of the droppers. The entire line loops around for the whole thing, so we don't have loads of different clocks all firing at the same time, which should reduce lag, and it also means we can turn it off and on again, which is good. That's very handy. So now what I need to do is clear my inventory and make sure that the chest is empty, which it is. Turn that clock on, flick that lever off, flick that lever on, and there we go. I'm just going to go back up to this AFK spot up here, which is at y equals 30. And let's just leave it again, and there we go. Look, we've got stuff already spawning. Okay, it has been another hour's worth of testing. Let's see what we got in this. Oh, we've got over a double chest this time. Has it backed up far? No, not very far at all. Let's work out how many items that is. 1,769 items there. So let's, we need a double chest for that one then. So let's do that. Okay, so for test 1 we got 1,260 items, and for test 2 we got 1,769 items, which is quite a lot more. That is quite a substantial amount more. Okay, so let's do one more test like that. We're going to get an average of all 3, and then we'll do some tweaks to the overall design and see if we can get some better results from doing some modifications. Okay, so that time we got 1,545 items in an hour, which gives us an average altogether of 1,524 items per hour. Now, I'm interested to see what we get from just one chunk in 1 hour, and then what we'll get from doing our modifications as well. So let's go back in time a little bit to when we just had one chunk ready. Okay, there we go. We've done a 1 hour test in this world now on just one slime chunk, and what did we get from that? 3 1/4 stacks of slime balls, which isn't that many. It's not bad for a single one, but it's not that many really. Before we do the modifications to this, it is important to know that these 3 that we've got, although we did put the slime farms there, we're not actually using them. We can't reach those, they're too far away, they're not doing anything and they're not connected. So we are literally using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're just using these 7 and that's how we're getting all of the drops. So ignore those 3. We're going to make the modifications to these ones now, and we're going to see if we can get even more than 1,500 drops per hour. Let's turn that off. Okay then, what I've done now is I've now covered all of the slime chunks that we're using with one block of solid blocks and then a load of half slabs on top. If I'm correct, I believe this actually makes the game think that the area underneath is both a cave spawn and a surface spawn. So we should, I think, maybe, I'm not 100% sure on this, but we should double up the cap, I think. So we'll do a test and we'll see if we get more. If not, then I've done it wrong. Okay, there we go. The lights are on. It's been an hour. There shouldn't be any more slimes in there. Everything should have stopped, which is good. Let's check that there isn't a backup in here anywhere. No, all of the items have come through the dropper, so let's turn that off and let's look. And it's not much different, to be honest. It's pretty much the same as what we got before. So that didn't make any difference then, did it? More modifications required. Okay, I have added a complete second layer into this thing. I've wired up all the redstone. I've put the snowman in. I've forgotten to put this one's lid on though, which I just noticed. And everything seems to be connected. The redstone's a bit of an issue now because the dropper lines have to go over 2 levels, which means you've got to, because we're sending the signal from here, we're going backwards, we've got to go up to the new dropper line and then run a signal down as well. And rather than doing a dropper elevator, I've just used hoppers just because it's easier. If you want to make that out into a dropper elevator, then be my guest, but hoppers is definitely easier for transferring items downwards. And I'm just checking we've got everything in place. It looks like we have got all the hopper minecarts, got all of the snow golems, everything looks good. I dropped a few items into test, it was working, which seemed to have all come out, so that's good. So let's give this another 1 hour test and see if we get any more from this with 2 layers than we do with one. The other thing I'm going to have to be careful of now is I was AFK at level 30 before, which meant I was far enough away from the bottom ones. I might not be far enough away from maybe that one or even that one's corner now for things to fully spawn on those. So I might be a little bit too close, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, the test is over, everything stopped spawning. Let's turn the clock off and let's see what we got. Wow, look at that, nearly a double chest full in 1 hour. So it really does show you that having a second set of layers to this does really make all the difference. The other thing is that when I was here, I was at level 30, it was stopping things spawning in this area here on this one, in this area here on this one, and also in this area here on this one. So it was reduced the rates, but the amount we got from that's absolutely insane. That's amazing. Okay, that works out at 2,840 slime balls in 1 hour, which is around about 5 stacks of slime blocks per hour, which is pretty good. It is pretty good going for this little slime farm, considering There's not a massive amount to it. There's no iron golems or anything like that. There's just a few slabs and a few minecart hoppers. We could probably go up another level. We could probably make this even better. To be honest with you, I'm not too fussed about doing that. If you want to try it and see what happens, then by all means let me know. But for now, I'm happy with this. Don't forget, to make this work, you need to light up your area. You need to do cave lighting. You need to slab the area around any caves around this where slimes could spawn. You need to slab out to stop them spawning. You need to eradicate all of the mobs and the hostile mobs around the area and on the surface within your perimeter. So basically a huge area around where you're going to be AFKing. So if you do that and no hostile mobs spawn and you don't get any slime stuck elsewhere, then there's no reason you shouldn't be getting 2,000 to 3,000 slime balls per hour from running this farm. Maybe even more if you added another set of layers in. So, good news! And on that note, I'm going to say thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do please leave a like. If you haven't already, please do subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!